Hello, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Edward Heim, and in today's video we are finally going to get into a painting demonstration. We're going to start a somewhat simple still life painting. So this is a great way to see how I tackle the initial approach, how you lay the foundation, how you get started. It's a lot easier than it really is. You just kind of start putting paint on your painting surface and roll with it, and the more paint you put down, the easier it seems to get. So this is a photo of what I'm going to be looking at, and I'm going to position the camera over my shoulder to look at my painting surface, and then we're just going to go through it, and then you can get an idea. This is probably not going to be accomplished over a single video. It's going to probably be over multiple videos, which is fine. So the idea is we're going to start it, get going, work through it, and then polish it up. And along the way, feel free to ask any questions, make any comments, and I will do my best to address all of that to the best of my ability. So let's get started. Okay, so this is what I got going on to get started. I got a couple little plastic knives out, a couple of bristle brushes out, and then I got some asphaltum, ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, and a little flake white replacement, and a little Neo McGill off there to the side. So we can add more colors as we go along. Remember, I use a limited palette. You use whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so as you noticed, I have not drawn anything. No pencil. I haven't used my Prospect to try to copy over proportions or anything like that. We're just gonna go in and do a sketch right with the paint. So I got my odorless mineral spirits. I like to use Gamsol. So let's put some out here in my palette. Let's get started. All right, I'm going to use this number 10 filbert style bristle brush. So let's grab some asphaltum, some ultramarine blue, mix it together to make black. As I'm doing this, just thinking to myself, for future videos, I'm going to need to find a second camera because I'd like to film my palette as well as the painting surface itself. Right now I use my phone's camera to take pictures and film. I only have the one, but if anyone can make recommendations as to other suitable cameras they think they may be good for this, I'm all ears. I'm open to suggestions. So anyway, I mix brown and blue. Then you mix those two, you make black. Here I have it mixed with a lot of mineral spirits, so it's kind of like a wash. So you can just immediately start drawing. Or if you want to try to help yourself, with the positioning of everything, you can make some grids, divide it into thirds vertical, thirds horizontal. Don't have to measure it, just eyeballing. Okay, so we have those two glazed porcelain bunnies kissing, but we also have that natural sunlight coming in, hitting that glazed surface. It's making some cool light effects, which is why I picked them. And then we have a neutral blue colored fabric, which is working as a background, foreground, and the contrast is pleasant and interesting. So I want to position those bunnies here, and then then you have the fabric fold, but this will be my central focal point right in this area. So this is where the action is going to happen. So we're going to focus here and work our way out in all directions. And the further you work away from your focal point, it becomes softer, more diffused, less detail, less contrast. The detail, the focus, the contrast, the most vibrant colors will be here because that is your central focal point, right? That's where you want your viewer to look. Okay, so you know the way the ears, right? You're looking for shapes. Try to dumb this down as much as you can. So I'm kind of looking slightly downwards at my subject matter, and then you know the way the tops of the heads and the ears, you know, you're pulling out shapes. It's like, okay, so you have shapes, you know, you kind of boxing it in, right? It's some drawing techniques here, and you know, just doing the best I can to kind of sketch in shapes. And then you come into the bigger boxier shapes, and then you start to refine it, and you keep refining and refining. At least that's how I go about this. But if there's some other technique that works better for you, by all means, go and do and pursue that. All right, so this is the positioning of the rabbits, and from there, it's, you know, there's some lines in the fabric. What I'm capturing is the darks that I see. Holding the brush in the back, loose, get loose. Nothing set in stone. You can wipe away, scrape, push. So this is obviously behind our rabbits. Just taking our neutral color mixture, just kind of filling in, getting some lines, some shapes down. That's all we're doing. It's framework. And then there's a dark shadow up here, but I don't want to have too much contrast up here because it's going to take away. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. All right. Nice and rough. It's a good start. So let's go back and kind of focus on the shape of the porcelain rabbits. I'll grab a little more mineral spirits. You can keep that stuff in a little cup. I don't have one, so I'm using my eyedropper. Get a little more asphaltum, a little more blue. Make a little more neutral color. It's really a diluted black. Okay. So again, we're still drawing. So we have the head, Right, they're coming together in that kissing motion. And then between them, you have this little diamond opening. And then the shape of the ears. And then you have the body. And then the bottom of the body. And these are three-dimensional. So now we're pulling that out. And even here, you know, it's rounded. Good. Let's move on to the other side. So I'm just grabbing a body here. Bottom is here. There's, you know, a little shadow there that I see. And then you have the little tail. And there's a lot going on the bodies of these. You have shadows and highlights, and then you have those intense reflective highlights from the glazing, the natural sunlight bouncing off of that. And that sun won't be out forever. So I took a photo, the one you saw earlier, not just to show you the still life itself as a frozen frame, but if you're going to work on this over multiple days, let's say, that the sunlight's going to change, and unless you have an awesome photographic memory, you're not going to remember exactly all these awesome little highlights and shadows the way you first captured it. So the photo becomes a reference and a tool to help you finish, and you're going to imprint your own artistic license on top of everything. So this is real time here with minimal editing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a sped up video. I might make those separately, but for this one out of the gate, this is a learning video, and I don't want to lose anyone, and I don't want to make any assumptions. I mean, I haven't painted in a few weeks, so this is a good warm up, getting back into it. It's a lot of fun. That's why we do this. If it's not fun, don't do it. If you're not in the mood to paint, don't paint. Paint because you feel good and you're feeling creative. But at the same token, don't wait for the stars and planets to line up just so, where you have this Monet level-esque type of inspiration. Sometimes I don't feel like painting, I'm tired or whatever, and I have to more or less nudge myself into painting. But if you really, really don't want to, don't. But at some point you're going to have to. You don't want to end up like just not doing anything with like an artist block or lack of motivation, or you're in a funk or something. I don't know, but a lot of times let's say you are tired or whatever, and you just force yourself to do it, very quickly you'll perk up and you'll feel really good. At least I do. I hope you do too. You created, and then for hours afterwards you feel great. You're like, yeah, that was the right thing to do. Okay, so we've been kind of refining our drawing, and I don't know if this was my original photo, but the way the light's coming in through those thin slats of the blinds, there's some like diagonal verticals coming through. That's a pretty cool light effect. Just gonna do this, making notes for myself. Very interesting. I'm not thinking too hard about this drawing. It's just notes, and I'll remember. It's subtle, but interesting. Okay, so if we're going to call this step 1, step 2 will be getting in paint onto the surface. So this is like a bluish gray, which makes things easier in terms of what I got going on my palette already. So we could push more ultramarine blue into our neutral drawing wash mixture. Add more mineral spirits. Now this is thin. I like to paint thin initially because it's easy to wipe off should you choose to make a big change, or you want to go in a different direction. So see, that's very thin. Just washing it in. But obviously we're going to come back and we're going to build up the paint, and we're going to take advantage of the amazing properties of oil paints. And you get we want that amazing luminous, juicy quality to our paint. So if you paint really thin, you're not going to get that, right? Because the paint is reflective. So here there's more of that light coming through. Remember, the sun moves every 15 minutes or so. The light's going to change. Do not chase the light if you're using a natural light source. It will drive you crazy. And here we're just kind of throwing in some color. You know, still kind of drawing, sketching, blocking in, you know, shapes and shadows as you see them. You got dark areas, you got light areas, you got everything in between. And it may not look like it, but the beginning drawing is very important, even when you just go in like this, or because I want to get some color in onto the bodies of these rabbits here. So I'm going to grab some of my quinacridone magenta with that same dirty brush we've been using, and I'm going to grab some white and effectively make a mid-tone. And just try to color match that the best you can. There's a few ways to do that. I don't know, I just kind of do everything by eye. This is actually very bright. That's not a mid-tone, but it seems to be working as the light color. So I might as well roll with it and scrub some of that in there. That's too little. So what I'd like to do is, once I kind of get this drawing in, and got my shapes and all that good stuff going on, I like to switch to finer paint brushes to keep going. So, but we're still drawing. Again, there's a lot going on here. So before my phone dies again, or rather stops recording, and then I have to stop and fuss with that, I really want to at least show this worst case scenario to you. You know, in this case, I've changed my grip on the paintbrush. This is kind of kind of scrubbing it in. I don't have a lot of paint and brush. I'm still drawing, and for this kind of drawing, it's like, you know, for me, this is how I'm going to grab a pen or a pencil. Still drawing. Then there's like darker spots. Remember, you're gonna come back and refine and refine and refine. Oh boy, all right. But you may already see like some cool things are going on. And we haven't been painting very long at all. Just checking my camera here. It looks like I may stop filming in a couple minutes. I have to figure out why it's so annoying. All right. And this can be done in one shot, a la prima. That's hard to do though. That takes practice like anything else. I don't really paint like that. You know, I like to spend at least a couple days, a few days, a week. Make it the best I can. Okay, so we got some highlights in there. So let's see if we can bang out some darker tones. I'm gonna grab some more quinacridone magenta, and I'm gonna grab a little bit more asphaltum. And I'm gonna grab a little ultramarine blue. Still using the same dirty paintbrush. I haven't washed it, I haven't wiped it. Okay, so now we got a darker color. Don't know if that's in focus or not. And then I want to kind of, you know, paint in some dark. Doesn't have to necessarily match out of the gate. It'd be awesome if it did. I'm not that skilled to do that. Just scrubbing in some dark. Looking for shapes, always looking for shapes. Drawing with color, drawing with color. Drawing with color, drawing with color. If you kind of blur out your vision and kind of let things diffuse, it makes it easier. You don't get hung up on the fine details. That's later. Okay, so you can see we have our shapes and we have some color, we have some tonal suggestions, and we have a framework. So this is a great start. So from here, it's a matter of continuing to work through the details and refining, picking out more shapes, focusing on the area that would be the brightest. As a matter of fact, you know, I had mentioned pulling out a central focal point. So let me grab some more of this white, my dirty brush, and I'm going to make a note right there. This is it. Now that's not what I see necessarily, and that's not going to be the final version of this paint line, but it is a placeholder for myself. And you can go and you can, you know, pick out the rest of these important details you initially saw. I mean, consider this your blueprint for success. We're just making notes. That's all we're doing. Making notes. Making some notes. Because you're going to forget. I'm going to forget. But if that's there, you're like, okay, I know I put that there because I saw that. And my reference photo will guide me the rest of the way if I'm breaking this up over multiple sessions. And again, that light does change. And it is changing. And it has been changing as I've been painting. Things have come and gone. Good things, bad things. Okay. So, why don't we call this done for this first video. And then in the next video, we're going to keep painting and refining, painting and refining. I'm just going to clean up, and then I'm going to leave my still life the way it is, and then we can revisit this later. This helped you at all, I'd ask that you please subscribe, like, and share. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps out the channel. Thank you very much for watching.